And we will have also the pleasure to host Dany Cohn-Bendit, who is now very famous in Greece. I would like to thank also my colleagues, MEPs here. I will not say all the names now, but later. And I will give the floor to Mr. Dany Cohn-Bendit for a brief speech, and maybe to Stelios, and then we will see the film.
Sorry, just a question. You have translation? In English. Okay, now. So I have English. So I can't then speak French. Okay, okay. And I can't speak Greek. Okay. It's the only reason why I can't be a candidate in Greece, because I can't speak Greek.
You have 6 months. I have learned it.
It's so easy to learn Greek in 6 months. Okay. You know that you know better than me that the situation, not only the situation of Greece, but the relation between the Greek society and Europe is a quite complicated one and quite difficult one. Second, if you see the result of the election in Italy, the relation between the Italian society and Europe is very difficult. So we have to ask us a question, and the question is why it is like this. Now I know that a lot of people say because Europe made the wrong politic, because Europe made the austerity politic, Europe forced everyone to do the wrong thing. Perhaps it's true, but perhaps it's also not all the truth. Because the problem is that the society before Europe obliged anybody, and I first take the item that Europe is obliged and forced countries like Italy or Greece or even other to do the wrong politics. Before this was happened, take the example of Italy. Before there was the austerity politic forced by Europe and by Monti, there was Berlusconi. No, Italy was not in very good shape with Berlusconi, where Europe had nothing to say, and Europe didn't say anything. Or take the example of Greece. Before the European wrong policy was forced on Greece, the situation of Greece was not in very good shape. So I think it's too easy to put the blame only on Europe, and so the society can say we are the good and they're the ugly and the bad are in Brussels. I mean, if you play this game like this, you know, you can have good emotion, but you're not very near the truth. So my question is that I agree that a lot of people, I think the majority of the people, I don't know exactly if it's a majority because it's difficult to measure, they have a bad opinion on Europe's politics today. They are pointing on Europe and saying, you force us to live in a situation where daily life becomes more and more impossible. This is the situation in Greece, that's the situation in Spain, this is the situation in Italy, another country. But the discussion that we have, or we must have, is which policy of Europe is a necessity to change things in the countries, and what are the responsibility of the countries to change also that another politic of Europe can have positive effect. And this is the difficulties of the debate that I observe in a lot of countries. That it is only if you listen to Merkel or other, they have to change. So they put the blame on the Italian, the Greeks, Portuguese, French, and ever. And the others say Merkel and Europe has to change politics, and this we can go on for years, putting the blame on the other. I think, and it's what we try as a European Green and the European Group in the parliament is to find a way where step by step the necessary change in Greece, for example, or in Italy, must be followed, or must be accompanied, or must be pushed, I don't know how, by another European politics toward these countries. But there is no possibility that you continue like it was before, and Europe only push in another direction and everything will be good. And this is the difficulty. This is the difficulties, and we made a lot of proposition for Greece, for example. I said, let us find a way that we can have a minimum of social protection, you know, directly paid by Europe to the lowest level for young people, or don't know what, in country like Greece. So that Europe stick to a direct social responsibility in a country where the crisis, like it is in Greece or in Spain, is so high. This is one possibility. The other possibility also is, and there it's a confrontation. We say, well, the story about the Greek defense budget. The Greek defense budget, who was for a year the double in percent of the French, of the German, and if you take it's linked to a Greek problem. It's Greek nationalism. You couldn't have this Greek defense budget if you don't have the opinion that, you know, we must have a budget to defend against who? And now you had submarines. Greece bought submarines, German submarines, to protect Greece, that the Turks don't invade Greece through the bottom of the Mediterranean, you know, to invade a Rocky Island, or I don't know what, you know. I mean, and this is a debate in Greece. Do we have confidence that at the moment when Greece is in the European Union, and it's written in all the treaties of the European Union that we have a common responsibility, then the problem of the defense of Greece is not a Greek problem alone. It's a European one. And for this, you don't have to think real or imaginative defense of Greece only as Greek. And if you do this, you could have reduced your budget by double or 3 times. So this is one thing. The other thing is, of course, there is a lot of mismanagement. So I want to ease the Greece, and think everybody would agree that in Sicily there is an absolute mismanagement of European money. You know, or in Spain you could find also this. So also there we have to think about what are the administrative structure that money that can go to a country like Greece who didn't ever go. I don't know, even now there's money from Europe who could go to Greece, but there is not the administrative base to do something, to invest in the right thing. This I want to show that this is the complicated things of the debate. So at the end, I know that the basic we have all discussion. Do we need a basic income? Yes, we need a basic social protection, and I think we are fighting that in Europe this come in the treaties. Basic protection for everyone. It doesn't mean that in every country you will have the same level. It only means that the idea and the structure of the basic social protection should be implemented in all Europe. In countries who have budgetary difficulties to realize, then it is the European task to have. And to finish with this, we come then to also a complicated thing. What is for us the future of Europe? Europe is also organized and functional. Today we say the community method, but Europe is more and more functioning that governments in together decided thing, intergovernmental decision. Now, the problem is, do we want a Europe with a federation of states? Or do we want a federal Europe? A federal Europe is something completely different. Because it is to say, we have 27 states, with Croatia 28, I don't know which, with Serbia 29, etc. And we have a basis of national functioning, but you have a real federal level. And a real federal level, you have it when you have a real federal budget. Because a federal state must be able to do things. Social protection, investment, ecological transition, energetic transition. Take the example, the first time that the United States had a federal budget, it was in 1932. This federal budget was 1% of the, how to say GDP, in English, budget intérieur. Yes, gross domestic product, 1%. In 1945, it was 7%. Today, it's 23%. The European budget, where we are fighting for, is 1%. We are fighting at the moment that will the European budget be 73 cents for every European citizen, or 75 cents. 1% with this budget, of course, is difficult to match the crisis. And if you have in every country an economic crisis, the European budget, its function should be to go against the crisis, to find innovation in ecological transition, in energetic transition, and so to have a positive dynamic. But for this, you have to have a real budget. And to have a real budget, now you have a debate, is the European budget in the future, will it continue to be a contribution by nation state, where then the national government can decide, or we change completely the base of the budget and we make it on own resources. What is the own resource? If every European country will introduce the financial transition tax, it would be 55 billion a year. The European budget is 100 billion. We have more than half only in own resource in the financial transition tax. If you take 1%, you can say you make a climate tax, 1% or whatever. If my favorite tax is you take 1% of every phone call or internet relation which is done in Europe to the European budget. It's automatic. You know, if you phone, automatically you are charged by Orange, I don't know where you were, or I don't know the Greek name, or where. So it would be 1% will go directly to the European budget. At the end, you would have a European budget who doesn't depend anymore from the goodwill of the government or the bad will of the government, but of a normative own resource, and then the European structure would decide what to do with this. So I think that in the moment of the crisis, we have to give to the people a perspective where, in which direction we want more solidarity, more social responsibility in Europe, and at the same time, in which direction we want, which political type of Europe we will have in the next 10 years or something like this. And I think This is the base of the social discussion, because the social discussion in Europe must have a pillar of solidarity and a pillar of responsibility. If there is no responsibility, solidarity is difficult. If there is no solidarity, responsibility is impossible. Thank you.
Yes, I think it was a very useful contribution from Dany.
You could say something else.
Thanks a lot. And just to say something about Greece. The rescue program for Greece will cost something like 240 billion euros. It is 1/4 of the total European budget. But this money are not spent for economy, are not spent for investments, but it is disappeared. It's a black hole. And so it is the question how we develop policies to help countries like Greece for an exit of the crisis. An efficient policy, European efficient policy, that doesn't waste money, but help the societies to change, to reform the administration. This is very important. But thanks, Dan, because you have contributed with some ideas. Stelios will help us to understand better the film. So, Stelios, thanks a lot, man.
Bye. All right. It's a little bit difficult to speak for a film before watching the film. So I'm not going to just a very brief introduction. I must tell you that I'm coming from Italy, and I'm just want to introduce you in 3 different things that happened during my stay in Italy. One, I met with Pepe Grillo, and Pepe Grillo, we had a long discussion, and Pepe Grillo said we are not going to collaborate in any form with the other parties because they represent the past, and we represent the future, and next election will have more than 30% of the vote. The second is that I met a woman who is the president of the Association of Widows of Women. Their husbands have committed suicide because of economic problems. And this is an association like this in Italy, which says something. The third is that in a subway station in Milan, I met, we had a discussion with somebody who is the owner of a newspaper's kiosk there. And he, when he realized I was coming from Greece, he made me watch a photo in his mobile phone. It was a photo of Golden Dawn, of Chrysogelos, of the neo-Nazi organization. He said we are taking very courage from our comrades in Greece, and we are organizing here the Forza Nuova in Italy, which is the... So what I'm saying is that there is a danger spreading because of the problem of Greece, and while talking with Grillo, what I realized is that Italy is just 2 years ago, as it was Greece 2 years ago, with the movement of Indignados in Athens. Now Daniel Cohn-Bendit left, but I wanted to, in the film, I'm taking 2 examples other than Greece. Okay, Greece is corrupted. The government spent a lot of money buying weapons, probably unnecessary, and so on. But I'm taking 2 other examples. One is Spain. In Spain, when the crisis started, in Spain the numbers of children were better than those of Germany. Budget was more balanced, and the debt of Spain was 60%, though at the time the debt of Germany was 80%. And still, the people of Spain has to suffer such a tough austerity measures. They're not going anywhere. And the other example is Portugal. Okay, Greece is covered by responsible people. They make a lot of maneuvers. They say one thing to the Troika, they are not applying the right recipe. Okay, but Portugal is the perfect student of the class. They follow to the point, even they overreacting, they over-applying the austerity policy. And what's the result? The result is almost the same. So, okay. What I want to say, just to finish, is that the Italian elections were a very serious warning about the situation in the whole Europe. And I don't know if, of course, Mrs. Merkel is not going to change policy before the general elections. It looks like that, but I don't know if Greece can sustain the crisis up to coming fall and in October, September, October. I don't know that. Coming from Greece, I must tell you that the situation is getting worse and worse, and probably we will have a problem like Italy's, but in other terms, before the general election. Thanks a lot, but anyway, you will watch the film, and then I don't know if you want to have some more. Thanks a lot for the invitation.
Thanks a lot, Stelios. We will have some minutes after the film to discuss, because I think both the contributions are very interesting, and of course we will discuss on that after the film. I would like to thank Ms. Podimata, Ms. Kopa, Mr. Papastamkos, Mr. Danelis, Ms.